Go. Okay. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us for our capstone presentations again this semester. We're going to have our SLED team go first. So SLED team, I'm going to turn it over to you and you can take it away.
Sorry. All right. So, we are the SLED team. We worked on the SLED project this semester. The main goal was basically a .NET Core application rewrite. For some context on that, .NET Core is a free cross-platform open source developer platform for building many kinds of applications. And the reason we were rewriting this application is that it was an application previously written in .NET Framework, but that platform is losing support currently. So a change over to .NET Core was requested. This is our team for the project. I am Justin. I'm the Scrum Master for the project.
I'm Josh. I am one of the lead developers for the project.
I'm Tyler, and I'm one of the developers who worked on both the front end and the back end.
All right. So for a quick introduction to SLED. It's some of the purposes of SLED is that the SLED application is an application designed to track information about student learning outcomes. The student learning outcomes are then used to prove that students at WCTC are truly learning what they are being taught. As for the value, the SLED application is used in order to continuously improve programs and improve learning. It is also used in the college accreditation process through the Higher Learning Commission.
All right. We approached this project by following the principles of Scrum, and our sprints were typically 2 weeks long. We made an effort to use the product backlog and update it regularly and assign ourselves tasks each sprint. We met virtually each Tuesday to discuss our progress, whether or not we encountered any roadblocks, or if a task is taking more or less time than originally anticipated. We demonstrated our progress to the class and the product owner at the end of each sprint, and we met with the product owner each Thursday during class time to discuss our progress and listen to feedback.
Before going into the full demonstration, we want to show off a few visual changes we made to the application. One of the big requests for this particular project this time around was standardizing and changing up the visuals to improve them like quite a bit. So some style standards that are demonstrated here are like the breadcrumbs here, which was a request for like better styling on the navigation. The accordion buttons here, which was a general request for like modifying the way buttons were located. As it's kind of hard to see, but you can see like improved color and theming through these buttons over here in the bottom right for like adding and removing a user. And another request was improving tables, which is demonstrated here at the bottom. The table that has different categories and coloring. After that, there was also a request to reduce noise. As you can see on the left here, there's a lot of heavy animation, a lot of really dark shadows, a lot of like magnification on these items, but as shown on the right, these were all this was reduced heavily at the request of our team. After that, there was also a request to improve the assessments. The assessments were altered to make them look much better and fall a lot more in line with the wireframe established for them. This page also demonstrates a special accordion that has an arrow on the right that lets you access the assessment better and is a better indication of like accessing it than the kind of ambiguous icon that was there previously.
All right. So we the assessments and outcomes criteria section was cleaned up significantly. We changed the accordions to match the rest of the site for consistency. We made the styles, formatting, and button placement consistent with the rest of the site. And we also cleaned up some of the icons and placement of the text for added consistency.
And we also made some changes to the view course pages. So this is the course that, or this is the page that comes after course page, which is where you select courses to view information on them. So changes we made on this page, as you can see on the left, not everything is very apparent. First of all, the add section button on the sort of top right, it's not very apparent that that is an add section button. It doesn't tell you that you can add a section. Additionally, there is no real way to tell that you can click on a section to go into it and view information on the section. So we added a button on the right-hand side of the table to be able to view the sections. And similar changes were implemented on the pages before and after this. Being before on the courses page, there's a view courses button now, where before there wasn't, and after there is now a more obvious way to add certain criteria. Additionally, on the section above, there's a lot less bloating and it's a lot easier to read the information.
All right, let's head over to the demo.
So we added a searchable dropdown to the add assessment form for the program selection. You can search by either program name or number. And we decided to do this because the list of programs is quite exhaustive and it makes it easier for the user to find what they're looking for.
Additionally to this screen, we added a score set option. This is essentially just different score sets that instructors can grade students based on. This may not seem like a huge change, but unfortunately, the group before us left us with some unoptimized code that we had to work around. So it is pretty fortunate that we were able to implement this.
We also made the start date required when adding a new assessment outcome. We also made the end date required for inactive assessment outcomes. And we did the exact same thing for the criteria.
A brand new page to this new version of the application we added was the mapping page. The mapping page is used in order to pair a course directly with a program, along with pretty much everything in between that. That includes the specific assessment, and the outcome associated between those two. The functionalities available on this page include, well, selecting a specific program, mapping a course to that program, which is Find the next one. Counting spreadsheets. And then go in and choose to end that mapping. Give it an end date. It does not already have one. Modify it, or you can then remove the end date if you want, or change the course in particular being used. Just remove the end date. And you can delete that map.
Another feature we added was an accessibility change. What we did was we added a mark all as feature for the grading system in the assessments page. So now what you can do is you can click the mark all as button and it'll bring up this modal. So now you can click any of the criteria and click mark submit. And now all criteria on the page will be marked as what you submitted before. And additionally, if you click nothing and just submit, nothing will change, so you don't have to worry about anything messing up.
All right, we also added error handling and logging. This table may look confusing, but this does not affect the functionality and it's mainly used for detecting bugs. If something is not working as expected, for example, a newly added course or assessment might not be saving, the error will be logged here. The best way to deal with this would be to create a new backlog item or a bug report, explain what you were attempting to do, whether that would have been editing a course or an assessment or creating something new. Copy the error report and then copy it into the backlog item or the bug report and send it off to the developers. We also fix an issue with the program crashing when the user's session expired when editing a record, such as adding a course or an assessment. We fix this by, so when the user's session expires, they'll be redirected back to the sign-in page and be asked to sign in again.
Now that we've reached the end of our presentation, we'd like to go over some of the challenges we faced and things that we've learned from this project. To start off with, a challenge we faced in the beginning is that we haven't really worked with an established project like this before. Normally throughout our schooling, we've only really worked on assessments and just general solo assignments where we've just worked by ourselves on an assignment that we started from scratch. And so getting a project like this where we were given something that a team worked on previously, we haven't really done that before, so it was hard, I guess, just trying to find a direction to go towards to begin with. Another thing is, like I said before, we had to work with a bit of unoptimized code from the team before us. That was a bit difficult with the thing I just previously mentioned, but we did get most of it worked out afterwards. And lastly, we haven't really worked on a team before this. Like I said before, we only really have worked on solo projects before this, whether it be on assignments or just general projects. So figuring out how to work as a team was a bit of a challenge for us, especially in the beginning weeks. And this is honestly probably the hardest part for our team. But we did learn from this. We learned the values of working as a team and how to overcome it. And we also learned the importance of making sure future teams have the resources to know, I guess, what they need to work on in the future, as well as what we worked on before them.
Q&A time. Any questions? Ask away.
I don't necessarily have any questions. My name is Karen Atkinyonis. I'm actually one of the I use SLED on the administrative side. I make sure that assessments are scheduled for faculty and help support the teams that do assessment mapping, things like that. I just wanted to say I was very impressed by the changes in the visual kind of components. While they might seem minor to someone who isn't doing that work in the background, I think personally that those visual changes make a big difference. And I think it really kind of made the system look more seamless and made it more obvious where you were going when no matter what button you were pushing, and even the breadcrumbs definitely more clear. So I really appreciated that. Also on the faculty side, that mark all, that's a huge deal. So I would just wanted to give you props for adding that. Faculty are doing a lot of grading, just like students are doing tons of assessments at the end, so are faculty. And so giving them the opportunity to be able to save a few minutes is a really big deal. And so that's a huge improvement for them. So I just want to thank you for your work. And I'm really excited about your changes. Nice work.
This is Vicki Wolf. I am from the Health Information Technology Medical Coding Program as a full-time faculty. And yes, thank you for adding those mark all buttons. Yes, that makes it very convenient. I do have a question though. You had indicated something about session timing out. So does it, if my session would time out, does it save the information that I have placed previously so that I can go back in and pick up where I left off, or do I need to go back and start from the beginning?
Yeah, that's one of the bugs that still needs to get worked out. So when your session does expire, when you try to like submit something, it'll redirect you back to the page. But unfortunately, as of now, it does erase the information. You have to enter it back in. But again, that is just a small bug that still needs to get worked out. So
Okay, so I guess the rule of thumb is for me to have all my information ready to place in the system before I get started and not be looking for something so that it does time out on me. So great. Oh, thank you. Thank you for your work on this.
Any other questions or comments for the team?
I'll jump in. So I was lucky enough to be one of Nikki's co-instructors for the group who had this project before. So it was great to sort of see the incremental changes that you guys were able to make. And I'll echo, I'm lucky enough that I don't actually have to enter anything into SLED. But I also echo what Karen and Victoria mentioned, which is, those small things that may seem small to you, that just save the time, because then the instructors can get those pieces in fairly quickly, and then I don't have to go and follow up with them when things are missing. So those pieces are really handy. I also liked sort of the interface looks more modern, and that naturally makes people not hate the program. Yeah, I'm just being really honest, right? If it looks really dated, people don't want to use it because they're like, oh my gosh, and even little things just feel that much worse. So really nice job on just those subtle changes for the interface and that front end work. I think, I can't remember if it was Tyler or Josh who mentioned you were doing some of the front end work on that. It looks really nice and really smooth, and the colors are consistent with the WCTC branding, which is also important as we start to look at the identity of applications. So nicely done, team.
I'll mention that is definitely a part that we like paid a good amount of attention to, is making sure that the colors were using the brand colors.
All right, we got time for one more question. Matt, Patrick, you guys got anything for the team?
Not really a question, but I am pleased that you were able to update to .NET Core and make the aesthetic changes. Because the only update, while that's a big deal, is kind of unsatisfying. your look and feel changes were substantial, and the consistency of them are really good. Also, I want to say in the presentation, your demo of what it looked like and what it looked like before, and being that it was active, was really good. I've not really seen anybody demo that as well. I think in 20 presentations, I don't think anybody's demoed the before and after any better.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, team. Nice job, sled team. Okay. Hit team. You're up next.
Daniel, whenever you're ready.
Yep. I just gotta get there. Okay. All right. All right.
All right. Thanks for coming, everybody. We are the WCTC HIT dev team, and today we'll be presenting and demonstrating the WCTC HIT system, which stands for Health and IT. My name's Adam.
I'm Ethan.
I'm Chris.
And I'm Daniel.
Accompanied by our product owner, Angela Lee. So first, we'd like to talk about what the system is itself. So what is the WCTC HIT systems? Well, it's a relatively complex yet intuitive healthcare management system. We could compare it to something like Epic, which most people are familiar with. The system is essentially a cohesion of past development from other student-derived teams.
So what does it do? Well, the WCTC HIT system, it aims to provide an easy solution for training nursing students and health IT students to get them warmed up for utilizing technology in the health field.
Now, as for why it exists, it is a safe way to learn how to use medical databases and familiarize with it without needing to license Epic, which can be pretty expensive. Now, we didn't start this project. Other students have laid the groundwork and gotten it to its current point before we could add more onto it.
The benefits of this is it provides an environment for medical professionals and researchers to use a real world like application. We have a lot of nursing students who are entering the medical profession, and this application does provide a real world instance of what it's like to enter in patients and encounters when they go into a medical facility.
All right, now that we know a little bit more about the project itself, before we get into the nitty-gritty details of what we did this semester, I'd like to share a quick overview of the project and its basic features and functionality. So upon navigating to the home screen, the first core feature of this health management system is the patient search functionality, which can be accessed by the patient search button or the link up at the top. And now you'll see we can enter a wide range of parameters to help filter out prospective patients. So we'll just enter in a first name, hit search. On clicking search, we have some basic information about each patient. In this case, there's only one. If we click on the details button, we'll get some, once it loads. Now we have some more in-depth medical health records. We also have encounters down at the bottom for each visit that they had. And then on the left-hand side, there are some tabs such as medical alerts and what medications they might be assigned to, which we'll go more in depth on later. The next core feature that I'd like to highlight is the patient administration tools, which can be accessed by the administration link up the top. And this page returns some widgets that contain more features and data relevant to their titles, mostly administration stuff. There's a lot here to unpack, and we'll go over it later as well. But I'd like to go over some of the main ones. Security roles contains access controls for admins to moderate what people have access to and what they can do. The PCA structured data is information regarding patient care assessments. And then the encounter information is which facility they've been admitted to and what kind of admission, such as emergency, along with other information. And like I said, we'll go more in depth on this later. So now that we kind of have a basic overview of some of the core features and functionality, I'd like to start off with one of the first things we did this semester, which was the patient medication stuff. So if we navigate back to the patient lookup, go back to that patient. There's the medications tab on the left that I mentioned. So this semester we implemented a feature that allows health and IT students to view a list of patient medications. This now properly simulates a health management system from a medications angle. This is probably what nurses or practitioners in the field would encounter in a real user interface. So if we look here, there's some detailed information such as the medication name, how often they should be taking it, the start date. And I think this is really valuable to the students because now they get an opportunity to see what they might encounter. This might be something that they would encounter. And then another adjacent feature with this is the create patient medication feature. If we click on create patient medication or add a medication, we now have a form where we can select a medication name. We go ahead and select a medication name. You'll see that the rest of the form is now filled out, and we can select a dosage. And it will do a frequency for how often they should be taking it, a reason for why they're taking it. Start date is automatically defaulted to today's date, but it can be changed. We can also select the provider name. And then upon submission, you'll see that we now have another medication. So this feature greatly enhances the amount of exposure to technology and the features that would exist in a health and IT environment. This also makes it more hands-on for students, and they can go through what a health management system would look like from adding and managing medications. With that being said, I'd like to pass over the mic to Chris. He's going to talk about some of the patient structured data related
Hi.
stuff.
Thank you, Adam. Earlier this semester when we first started, the product owner, Angela, wanted an ability to add and remove certain data elements from the website. When Adam showed you earlier, when you created a patient, you can access patient demographic information for like race, ethnicity, country, gender, that sort of thing. Angela wanted the ability to add and remove data in that part of the application. So I'm going to demonstrate what we did in the administration patient structure data area. Daniel, if you can go to the patient structure data.
Yep, I'm there.
Okay. Would you click on country?
Yep, I'm in.
All right. I want you to hit the create a country link.
Yep, Create new.
All right, I'm gonna have you just type in a AAA.
Right.
And then let me know when it's created.
It's been created.
All right. As we've created this in such a way that it adds it alphabetically into a list, so that way it's easier to find the data that you just entered. Can you delete that AAA?
It's been deleted.
Okay. So this is all the same functionality that's been all pages for like gender, ethnicity, race, sex, religion, patient contact information, mode of contact. So it provides a lot of use for the administrators of this application. One final part of this, could you click on the A country and try deleting that one?
All right, it did not delete.
Okay, we added some functionality here as well. If a record is being used or if an item's being used here, it cannot be deleted. So there's some safeguards in here. So if somebody's using this in one of their patients or encounters, it'll be protected. One other thing I would like to talk about is I was asked earlier, well, I would say we were asked earlier, to look at the accessibility for screen reader accessibility on this application. And we went through and we did a rough assessment of about half of the application. We provided a list of all the tabs, all the tab orders, list of links, headers that the screen reader was able to report out. And we determined about halfway through the course that the application is accessible for screen readers. And that's a good thing for somebody, a researcher, somebody that has a screen reader, they should be able to use this application. I would like to turn this over to Ethan. He would like to talk about medication.
Thank you, Chris. Now, let's head on over to the medication structured data page. And then the medication page, it's going to take a while to load. There's a lot on there. And there it goes. As you can see, there is quite a bit. So let's add another. Select the brand name, then the generic name, then the dosage form, then the delivery route. Then type in how many units there are, the active strength, and which unit it uses, milligrams, milliliters. Then type in the national drug code and click that it's active. And just need to wait for it to get created. All right, now if you scroll all the way to the bottom, there it is. Now let's get rid of it. Delete and delete. And if you scroll to the bottom, it's gone. Now, while we're on the medication page, I'm gonna hand things over to Dan, who's gonna tell you about the search function.
All right, thank you, Ethan. So one of the big requests from our product owner, Angela, is for administrators to be able to filter out values or filter out brand names and generic names for this medication area. Because it, as everyone has seen already, there are a lot of values in here. So basically, by having this search functionality, it allows the administrators to filter out medications so that they can view the details of, edit information about the medication, or delete them as needed. And you can have any combination of the brand name and the generic name. And you can also reset this page back to what it was before if you empty both fields. There we are, it's now back to normal. So I also want to bring everyone's attention to another feature we put in to this application, and that is the progress notes. I am going to get to our patient Jane. So another big item on our backlog this time around was reintegrating the progress notes and adding extra functionality to it. So the whole purpose of these progress notes is for providers to be able to create notes regarding how patients are currently doing while they are in care, receiving it. So I'm gonna. And the main point of addition that we added to this form is the ability for providers to sign off on these notes. It also has conditional rendering for if a provider requires a co-provider to sign off on it. So now this co-provider field will render in so that the co-provider can sign off. And here we have it now added on. You are also able to edit and delete these progress notes as well. So we believe that this will provide value for providing statuses to how patients are doing. And that is all for our in-depth demonstration of this application.
Now that we've established what we've done this semester overall, I'd like to talk about some of the challenges we faced. So as a team, we experienced several challenges along the way. First, we had a hard time adjusting to a new project that we had never seen before, which required some research and analysis to fully understand. We experienced issues from past developers ranging from documentation, naming conventions, and other development practices. We also had to learn about a lot of new concepts we may be unfamiliar with, and some issues with testing through Azure. As far as what we learned, as a result of some of these challenges, we learned how to overcome them. We learned to be more dynamic with this system as well as potential future systems. We tried to view problems from multiple perspectives inside our group. We learned how to better establish the interpretation of needs from the product owner or client who may be coming from a field with a less technical approach to the specific application and its deliverables. Working to find solutions regarding programming allowed us to explore new ways to improve as software developers as well. And as far as the hardest part of this whole journey, overall revolved around the actual application and how to implement the requested deliverables in the best way possible. Overall, this project was challenging, but offered us an opportunity to become better as developers and taught us how to overcome adversities as a team. We appreciate your time. Are there any questions at all?
So this is Angela, and of course, we can't have a demo without me talking. One of the things that I wanted to mention is the medications, the database itself contains medications from the actual formulary that we got off of the real website. So it had a lot of data elements in it that the team had to kind of work through and interpret and figure out, you know, what meant what. So and that is going to be a huge addition to the whole functionality. What we saw was being able to tie medications directly to a patient, like what are their current meds, but this is ultimately going to tie to medication administration, ordering, dropping into allergies and all kinds of other places. So that medication piece is just a starting point. So I'm real excited about that. The other thing that I'm really excited about is that progress note. It seems very simple, but we've been working on it for a while and trying to get that signature piece to function correctly. And we went round kind of back and forth trying to decide how best to do the electronic signature. We decided it's a learning system. We're going to go easy on ourselves, and the signature itself is just a typed in signature. There's no like real security involved in there, but it does give my students a chance to analyze records to see, do they need co-signatures? Are things signed off properly and things like that? But the other thing is we have a lot of forms that are going to have to be developed, including history and physical and discharge summaries and operative reports, and we can use that progress note, which has a very simple amount of content, as sort of the model for all of those other forms. So I anticipate they'll take off pretty quickly as well in the coming semesters. So I'm real excited about all of those things. So and it was really fun to work with them on trying to identify if our system was actually accessible. So that was an interesting investigation as well. And we were real excited to find out that for the most part, it definitely is. So those were kind of my big takeaways on this particular project. It's always fun. Every semester we make so many leaps ahead. So
It was a pleasure working with you too.
I just want to say thank you for your work on this. It's been a work in progress for a while, and looks like it's making some additional creative steps to really make it user-friendly and available for us to begin to use one of these days in our programs. So thank you.
Any other questions for the team?
So you assessed its accessibility. Did you document what you did so that the SLED team could do that next year, or
I provided documentation to a product owner of everything that I did as I was going through it. And she reviewed it. We went through week by week, looking at that stuff.
Yeah.
So she has a template, if they wanted to go through, and show that to the other team, they can.
basically the process was pretty straightforward. He went through and he used his screen reader and documented everything that the screen reader picked up, and then he sent that to me, and I then compared it to what I was actually seeing on the screen to see if there was anything significant missing. And I think our biggest snag was working with tables, because we have so many tables worth of data. It was a matter of how was the screen reader interpreting it. And then once we figured that out, then we knew we weren't missing information and things like that. But that was a real straightforward process. Like I said, he just ran the screen reader, and then I just looked to see if there was anything that he didn't pick up that's on the screen that he should have been able to see.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I wanted to comment on that as well. And Chris, I certainly know you live this experience every day. And I've worked with a number of people who also have lived that experience. And it's one of the things I always try to talk to developers about, is making sure that their applications and their websites that they're developing are accessible. And so thank you for bringing that up and keeping that in the forefront. And I think that's something that, Nikki, as you continue to work in this course, that's something I think we need to make sure that everyone stays aware of as they continue to develop within these applications, or if there's new applications that we're developing, that we really start to make sure that is considered from the ground up as we start building the new applications and projects. So kudos to not just letting that lie.
We would have time for one more question or comment. Does anybody have anything for the team?
I guess I'm sorry, it's Cheryl. I was just gonna ask, I think that Angela kind of touched on this, but the medication list is going to become an order entry space, or is it connected to a provider electronic order entry space?
I can probably answer that better than they can at this point in time. Right now, it is only tied to the patient to create a list of medications that the patient is taking. But as we progress, it would be tied to order entry, prescription writing, medication administration, and things of the like.
Yeah, I don't think we worked with prescription writing or
Yeah.
anything like that.
No,
Right.
not yet. Right now, we were just getting the table accessible and tied to the patient.
That can be a next semester type deal.
Yes.
That one's going to
Yes.
be a big one.
Yep. Yep. Awesome. Thank you so much. I also indicated the screen reader. I just wanted to comment in case you didn't read that in the chat space, is very critical to some of the federal government's healthcare initiatives. Currently with the 5 aims of Healthy People 2030. One of the aims is to make certain that there's not only accessibility to healthcare, but health literacy. And certainly a screen reader supports that initiative.
Awesome. Nice job, HIT team. And thank you everyone for joining us. We really appreciate you coming out to support our students and see what they've been doing. Thanks, and we hope to see you again next semester.
Nice job, everyone. Have a
Mhm.
good break.
Thanks for
Thank
coming.
you all.